Too much opening in the beat.
What's her name? 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 Good afternoon and welcome to part 2 of our doubleheader here. Sunday Spin. We want to thank you for joining us. Special shout out to Fez Recker for joining us on part 1 of our San Diego Legends installment. Right behind him, we have my man, Kevin Chanel is in the house. You know his story. We're very, very lucky to have him here. Avid record collector, San Diego music legend. We're going to hear his story. Cannot wait to hear about it. Glenn, my man, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing fantastic. I just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. That's Anonymous Collective Records, Anonymous Pacific Records, and the wonderful Ostro Brothers at What's Left Records in Colorado Springs.
Absolutely.
Kevin, I just want to say, as I always do to you, you're a beautiful man.
You say the sweetest things. So good to see you guys, man.
We're overjoyed to have you. And we're on location with Kevin. So, Kevin, give us a sense of where we're at in what part of the country, because we were international, and you joined us actually in Berlin. Thank you for that. But where are we now?
We're in San Francisco, California, one of the finest cities in America.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite place to be. I've been here for about 25 years now. As an ex-National City, Chula Vista kind of guy. This is just absolutely awesome. We're at Grooves Records on Market Street in San Francisco. And I'll kind of just give you a quick look-see. Unfortunately, because of the riots, here, let me show this here real quick. Because of the riots, you can't really see the windows. I'll try to get to a spot you can see. But we have, this is our windows. This is actually all over the shop. But we had to board up because there were riots. You can see there's like a freeway and all this stuff out there. But when the riots were hitting San Francisco, they were right outside our door. It was actually pretty gnarly. There was a big police presence, marching. I actually had to pull, this is the weirdest thing. I actually had to be a fascist and pull some jackass off of a cop. Because he was just like there was a march going down the street and they were taking a turn and he was just like, I'm on a bike and I'm empowered. I'm going to go yell at a cop for no reason. And so he did. And everybody was like, dude, you're being a prick, cut it out. And so we actually had to we just happened to be working on the shop that day. And so I had to pull him off. So one night, 10 p.m., one of the guys that kind of works here once in a while, really good dude, my man Emmett, he came by and saw that everybody was outside and they were ready to start breaking windows and they broke a pipe in the shop next door. We have a pancake place next door. And they started ripping shit up. And so he was like, dude, you might want to get down here. I'm like, I can't get down there. You couldn't get to this part of town because it was so jacked up. And so he just kind of him and his wife, they live across the street. They watched the shop all night. Until about 1 a.m, they were there just making sure, giving me updates. And it was kind of cool. But unfortunately, I can't show you the outside, how it looks. Well, actually, I can walk outside. Come to think of it. And I can give you the full look. Just a sec here.
There it is, the legendary Grooves. San Francisco.
That address too, man. He is downtown.
You can see all the vinyl in the windows and stuff. And oh, hey, here we go. It was started by this guy right here, Ray Anderson. That's Sonny's dad. That's my wife's father. Absolutely the coolest dude you ever want to meet. There's every once in a while, there's those people that are those guys that, they know everything about everything. And they'll, you say something and they'll give you a story immediately. He was one of those guys, one of those guys that actually knew everything about everything. No matter what you want to talk about, he had an in-depth knowledge of, winemaking with tomatoes or, dirt. He could explain soil, things like that. He's just the coolest guy. I was lucky enough to get to know him, and he only passed away about 4 years ago. And so Sonny and I took over the shop. And so it's been here for about 30 years, right? 25 years now, actually. And we haven't been kicked out yet. It's kind of cool. And we're hanging on to it. One of our guys, my man, Doug, I'm going to tell him to wave. Wave, Doug, say hello. He came down to take care of some stuff today. And hopefully we'll be reopening soon. It's been about 5 months or so since we closed up for a while. But we're going to open up. It's going to be exactly the same. And used records, that's it. No CDs, as the good Lord intended it.
So, Kevy, while you guys are down, I know you have a Discogs up, right? And also, do you guys have a web page as well?
We don't have a web page. Well, we have a web page. We don't really use it for content. Okay. We should, but we don't really, put things up a lot.
Sure.
What we've also been doing is Discogs, Instagram. Actually, that's kind of it. Discogs and Instagram. We'll occasionally put stuff up on Facebook, but mostly it's just that. Like Sonny will put up like 4 records and say, "Hey, we have these," and somebody will just jump right on them. It's kind of cool. But it's worked out enough to where we're able to just keep stuff moving and keep the name out there. We're not really raking in the dough on it, but it's keeping the name out there, which is kind of half the battle. Oddly enough, with yesterday being Record Store Day, we couldn't jump on that, but well,
That's the tragedy of it all, right?
Hopefully, I know, it's the worst. I'm doing all sorts of good stuff. But I mean, there's some other stores in town that are doing that. I think Amoeba's open again. That's a biggie. Some of the places down the street from here. Are you familiar with the label Superior Viaduct? They're kind of big in the reissues thing. They do like MX80 in the fall and stuff like that.
Interesting.
So they have a shop down the street, like a new vinyl shop, and so those guys are all opening. But we're taking it slow. We don't want to do something wrong, and get people sick or whatever. Ourselves get sick. It wouldn't be cool.
Well, more than that, I think your store's in a historic neighborhood. I mean,
yeah,
and that's got to add to the ambiance and the feel of the experience when you do go record shopping, especially for people who haven't done it in a number of years. So, my heart goes out to you because of the pandemic and what it's done and how close it's hit you to home. It's a reminder to all of us that, people are getting by, people are prospering, people are doing the best they can to rise above. So, Kevin, my hat's definitely off to you because you're setting an example for everyone.
I raise a Michelada to you. Thank you so much.
Oh, are you kidding me?
It's definitely work, that's for sure.
Sure. So how many
Kev,
records do you have in your store?
Kev, I got a couple records, and again, we don't have to say anything, but you inspire, just like with Fez, you inspired a couple records that we share love for in bands. So Can, and then we got the Public Image 2nd edition, which Rob, I don't know, he showed the film Canister version on the earlier show. And then, of course, a band that we both love and adore, Tortoise.
Oh, man.
So
nicest guy is Tortoise. They were the coolest. A friend of mine, my man Bad Penny, he was this one guy I worked with, friends of friends and all that. He really loved Tortoise, but he's like a kind of a shy, quiet dude. And I told him, hey, for this, I was doing the Chin Music magazine, and I was going to do a story. Like I had to come up with some cockamamie idea to make it work. And so, it's like baseball, right? So they have a lot of members in the band. Rocker from the Crypt has a lot of members in the band. I'll pit them together like it's a team, one against the other. And so I got my man Penny to interview. I got him into the show for Tortoise, and I got him to interview Tortoise. And so it was cool. He really enjoyed it. And it was one of his favorite bands. And so it was kind of nice to be able to do that. Oh, shit, actually, Rocky. If you look right up on Rocky's hat, it says Penny. That's my man, Bad Penny.
nice.
With the SFPD hat.
Okay.
He's like a really good artist, and he painted that thing for Sonny's dad. So that was like the coolest thing. But anyway, yeah, that's my Tortoise story. But yeah, super nice guys. Dan Bitney, what a dude. Like really, really sweet guy.
Those drummers are beasts, man. McIntyre and Herndon. Hats off, 2 of my favorites.
Yeah, I mean, they're just such talented.
The whole band. The whole band's great.
All of them, yeah. I mean, McIntyre, Christ, man, go back to like Bastro and stuff. And he's just such a tremendous drummer. And just
he's got a couple studios now. He's moved out of Chicago, I've seen. I guess he's back in Portland. because I know that's where he's from. But I think he had another studio like in the Nevada area. But it's cool because what's cool about all these guys like that is you can work with them. Bill Stevenson, same thing. You know, I mean, it's a little pricey, but I mean, who wouldn't want to work with some of these guys to, blast the blasting room, which is up in Boulder, here in Colorado. Shout out. And I don't know. I just always think about, man, I would love to cut a track with one of these dudes, and they're both drummers, so I have a little bit of bias there, Kevin.
Well, I mean, I hate to say it, but drummers usually are like the best guys to record with because they know their shit. They know how everything is supposed to sound.
Mark Trombino.
Oh yeah, of course, man. I'm drawing a blank now, but I've recorded with a couple of other drummers. Oh wait, Greno. I've recorded with. Did you make
that? Yeah.
How do you make that place sound so good? How do you get everything to sound so balanced? It's impressive.
I don't know. Vinny, what do you you think it's a vibe of the room and just the overall,
If you're asking me my honest opinion, I obviously only spend a fraction of the time there that you do. But the thing that I love the most about it, honestly, is the acoustics. I think the acoustics are just natural there. One thing you got to remember, as I recall, that basement is 9/10 underground, and I think it serves an insulating factor. As crazy as it sounds, we've always had a very natural, very earthy sound that comes out of there, and I do that all the time. It's almost a Chess Studios kind of sound for indie rock. It's very, very pleasant. I've always enjoyed working there more than any place else, but more than anything else, I would say just because it is of its location in your house.
That's a really good point. I mean, how some of the studios will say put the sand under a floorboard to soak up the bass and contain it and stuff like that. I guess the basement would just do that for the whole thing, wouldn't it? It would be like a big cordoned off room kind of. That worked really well.
And you guys,
it's set up really well. I mean,
you guys
accommodations too. It's just a very pleasant experience to record there.
It is.
And you guys know too, it's all about the performance. It's like we go for magic takes. We don't sit there all day, but we know when it's good, and intuitively, all of us working together is like Kev. Just so people know, the song that we started out the show with is a band called Lemon Limes or something like that. So talk a little bit about that. I mean, obviously I'm a part of it, but I don't like to. You're my guest, and so just talk about a little bit about that.
That's one of the things where, I mean, you really dragged me out of retirement on that one. That was like, I was done. By when I hit age 30, I was like, okay, I've tried music for 15 years. I'll stop now. I'll start a family. Things will be great. I'll live in San Francisco. And then you called me and was like, hey, let's go record something. I was like, yeah, I don't really want to jam. I hate jamming. I don't really, dig doing that. It just seems pointless to me. But I went there we were in Petaluma, and one of the big things was, all songs have to only have one chord, nothing more than 2 minutes long. Focus, just focus, and focus. And establishing rules, that was the biggest thing. And it excited me. It made me want to do something. It made me want to try and create within this tiny little space of creativity that you have to work with. And that was like one of the most fun things I ever did. It was you, me, and Evan. And it was cool because he soaked up everything. He was like, I want you to do this. Or, I was like, I want you to do this. And he was like, okay, I'll do that. And then he would find the things within that to make it loud, to make it pop. And then your drumming, especially, it was like, you managed to, and you weren't trepidatious, you weren't apprehensive about any of the beats. You'd find one and then you'd lock right into it and hammer it, just completely hammer it home. And it was really cool. And it's funny because you remind me that the difference between that and recording in Colorado Springs was in a big garage. It's like you're kind of fighting the room a little bit, Luckily we had those rules to hang on to, or we could nail it down. But at your place, you didn't have to fight the acoustics at all. You could just play, and what you were playing was what you were hearing, and what you were hearing is what was going on the tape. And so that I didn't even think about. You mentioned it, Vinny. That was a part of it. Was you're not fighting the room at all. The acoustics.
You couldn't have explained it any better, in my opinion. You nailed on exactly why it works. But yeah, my favorite place to record, bar none.
Yeah, it's
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
it is, and you know, a big thing of it. You know, I gotta say, man, pat yourself on the back for this. It's the miking, knowing how to mic a room.
Yes, very much.
So important.
Yeah, true.
That's a Steve Albini thing, right?
Yeah. It's all old school tech. It's all way back, because you know how were these jazz legends recording with 2 mics with a 50-piece band?
Yeah.
Your Sun Ra's, your Ellingtons, your Count Basie's. How were they doing it? Because they were going after a performance.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we took that and we used that. And I mean, I'm most proud, Kevin, of that second record.
Yeah.
Myself, that's the one. I mean, from recording Anthony Davis's guitars in the closet with 3 different mics to Kevin's runs to the taco stand over here. I need more tacos, man. Like, we just brought a little bit of San Diego to it. You know what I mean, Vinny? Like, it follows us everywhere, brother.
I do know what you mean, because I feel the same way about what we do with the Mulligans.
Yes.
It's a Colorado band, don't get the wrong idea, but it's always got the San Diego connection. And we get to bring that with us, that ambiance. And that's what makes it special, aside from the fact of the people I'm working with are all from San Diego. So yeah, I would agree 100%, my man. There's an authenticity. But the thing I love most is with the studio and recording there is it's natural. You don't need an echo. You don't need a delay. You don't need any of the bells and whistles that you normally associate, because the sound is dynamite from the get-go. Makes it a lot simpler, and you get a lot more done in a lot less time.
Kev, something that a lot of people don't know too is that album, the second album, what's it called?
Death, what is it? Death and Grief and Sorrow and Murder.
Thank you. That was recorded like you flew out and on a Friday and you left on Sunday morning.
Yeah, I flew out on Saturday morning and left on Sunday morning. It was 24 hours, yeah.
I mean, and we threw it all at Anthony. He didn't know any of the material, but he killed it. And like,
great stuff.
Your lyrics are so amazing, Kevin. They're so great.
Thanks, man.
I love your haiku too that you do.
That's where they came from. That's all just like a big notebook on my iPhone, like 2 pages, 3 pages worth of just nonsense phrases. And then you try to build stuff around them, try to make a story out of them. And it's one of those things, like the phrases just pop into my head and shit. It's, that's completely, it's always like after a night of drinking at 2 a.m, it's like, haha, those things sound funny together. And it's embarrassing, really. In a way. But yeah, that's how you got to do it, I guess. But my big favorite thing was High and Tight, where we slowed down, tightened up to 1/10 of its speed, and just drove the hell out of it. That was
right. Fun. Good stuff, man.
But I do go on. But we got to do it again. I want to do it again sometime for sure. And I definitely want to put vinyl out of those 2 albums, though, for sure. That's like important. Get that out of the way of, I can move on with my life finally if I do that. No regrets anymore.
Well, it's gotten so much easier to do it. Pandemic be damned, when we can travel, it's going to get that much easier as well. But with the technology being what it is and the necessity of the times, nothing's impossible anymore. And
that's
the beautiful thing. It sucks in a way, because as a musician, you can't replace the one-on-one chemistry you have, but it's all we've got right now. And I applaud the people who are trying.
Yeah, I know. I feel bad I haven't been able to do any recording. I haven't been able to do any, laying stuff down, and I'm still trying to find a way to get from the drum tracks you gave me to, if I can find a boombox, I'll use that. I gotta do something now. I enlisted my daughter. She's gonna play guitar on the next thing I do. Either it's the thing with the drum track you sent me, or just something I came up with myself. But
that's great.
Like, play guitar. She's good. I mean, she's 14.
Yeah.
About 5 years now, and she's like, I mean, I hear her because she doesn't want me to hear what she's doing, but I hear her through her door, and it's like, nice. I don't say anything. I don't want to, crush her by giving her a compliment.
Sure.
I know.
But
those teenage years are fragile with artistic development.
Exactly. Yeah. And she's just starting high school, so there's all that, and it's who knows, like the fragile emotions that can be crushed right there. I don't want to be the one to crush
Well, and that's why my bed was in the garage back in the 6'4", is it was the only place I could play in peace.
it. Yeah.
Piss people off, which lends to, 6'4" and all the garage rock that came out of there.
Yeah.
You're as big a part of that as anybody, Kevin.
Yeah. And it was so integral. And I know that I don't even know. Do kids have that nowadays? Are there garage bands happening? I mean, people putting stuff out, but are they in garages and actually
Not in my neighborhood, I can tell you that much. And yeah, it's sad.
Yeah.
It probably exists in pockets, like just like when we were kids. More, it comes in waves. I feel like maybe more basement rock, I guess. So,
Yeah.
But Kev, like Vinny said, you've been around music and been doing music for so long. So we talked about the Lemon Limes. Let's work way, way, way backwards to a band that I saw. You're gonna laugh, I know. Vinny, one of my first shows, punk rock shows, scared out of my wits at Adams Avenue, hanging out with Robbie Nefke and Rob Abramson. And I saw this band called The Front.
Oh yeah.
A San Diego band, and any local band. A Battalion of Saints was playing that night as well. Any local band, I was always like, who are these guys? I want to do that. And years later, come to find out, my buddy, the beloved Kevin Chanel, was in that band. Was that your first band, my brother?
It was the first band I ever did that ever did anything. I had been in the same like everybody else back in the late 70s garage bands, and I always wanted to be in my brother's band, which is ironic as well, or oddly coincidental, however it's supposed to be put. But that was the first that I ever played shows and did stuff. I was in a band before that with a couple of friends of mine from high school called Control, and actually Bart Mendoza was in that band for a very short amount of time.
Shout out to Bart.
Shout out to Manual Scan.
Yeah, absolutely. We would love to have Bart on the show at some point.
You should. You totally
we have to.
Yeah,
have to.
absolutely. No, completely. It would be a shame if you didn't.
One of the
But
yeah.
I think actually, are you in touch with Bart at all?
We're Facebook friends, so I mean, it's just a direct message away.
Yeah,
Word's
absolutely.
going to get out.
He's a really good guy. I know.
Yeah.
Seriously, I've known him since I was 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And every time he would do one of those mod shows, he would always ask me if I wanted to play. And so I'd go up there and one time I went up there and sang 3 Jonathan Richman songs and a Johnny Thunders tune because mod show.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did that. It was, but yeah, he's a good dude. He would totally do it. Do you know Kevin Ring at all? Also from Manual Scan?
No.
I mean, we played shows with them back in the day. Outrage did. But I'm not familiar with the name. Yeah, Bart, I mean, he put on all those, the Nephews and Outrage played a lot of those festivals and things. One was even shut down one year,
What?
I remember, and we were on stage. I don't remember, Rob probably remembers the details, but it was so heartbreaking because, all those people putting on shows then just had the best of intentions. It wasn't it's just things went awry or the, SDPD got involved or whatever, but yeah.
No, they shut down everything. They shut down the DOA shows. Not the band, I mean the Tim Mays and his band of Merry Men. But yeah, the about the Hardcore Picnic, right? That one, 85.
Yeah, I just saw a picture of that on Facebook the other day.
No, that's funny, man. That one cracked me up. The fact that it existed, it was called the Hardcore Picnic, because you never can have enough potato salad. But yeah, that was one of those things where it was on Mariners Point, so it was all on the water. It was right on the water, and of course on the other side is the Mission Bay, and then there's the Pacific on the other side, just this narrow strip. And so, man, they had cops driving in, coming in on boats. They were just they triangulated, and there was maybe 200 punks there, and they were the full-on, Mohawk punks back in '85.
Yeah.
So they were just cracking heads, and that was what a threat was to them back then. Punk rock was a threat.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
I know.
Quincy punks, baby.
Exactly.
I dig pain. I feel it in my brain.
Yeah.
The band called Mayhem, was that it?
Yes.
So
That's
funny.
great. Wow. So just to bring it full circle, we're about halfway through the show. Folks, Vinny G and Greno are hanging out with the one, the only, the illustrious Kevin F. Chanel. And we are hanging out at Grooves in San Francisco, a legendary record store. We want you to check them out when they're going to reopen here soon if you are in the area. Oh, yes, Kevin. Very nice. It's a great store. Look at that. And we've got some folks actually putting some records away. And Kev, so what's the niche for your store? I know you have a lot of different products, but is there a certain type of music that people really, really gravitate towards, or a certain type of, is it 12-inch records? Are we looking at, I know you have it all, but is there a niche market there at Grooves?
Actually, no. It really is everything. It's in fact, right here, I'm sitting in the soundtrack section.
Ooh,
Right here.
my favorites. I love soundtracks. Oh, hang them high, baby.
No good record store would be complete without that. Or also, let me see if I have another goodie here.
Yeah. Show us some titles, my brother.
Oh, yeah, man. You kidding me? Who could live without Maurice Chevalier? Because everyone agrees seems to be Oh, Christ. Let's see. I got a couple good ones here. Oh, here we go. I got a lot of these. For some reason, the 60s, like the Mike Curb biker soundtrack stuff was huge. So stuff like The Hard Ride.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, so that's just happens to be where I'm standing right now, but it's a lot of stuff. Of course, mostly like a lot of 60s and 70s rock, because that's what Sonny's father had a lot of. So we have like the basement at home and a couple of storage places around town that have just tons and tons of records. A lot of 60s rock, a lot more soundtracks, a lot of international stuff. And here we go. So this is the international section right here. And let's see. So you got like France, Greece, Hawaii, huge Hawaii section. A lot of Eastern European, mostly polka stuff. But yeah, it's just all over stuff. And there's like listening stations here. You can bust out and check stuff out.
Okay, now
Old school, baby.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that is very cool. What a nice class. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, really, there's just, Sonny's father collected seriously just everything. And so he would go to like garage sales, auctions, and just like bid. And you got a box of records? I'll take them. $5, I'll take them, whatever. And he did this ever since probably the late 60s. So Sonny, when she was a little girl, she was being dragged to like the Pasadena swap meet and all the big California swap meets.
Yeah.
And they would sell stuff, and they collected absolutely everything that existed. And I'd say about 70% of everything that's ever existed in the world is in my basement back home right now. You name it. I mean, things to dry and make your own beef jerky. Stereos. Here, I'll show you. Just you can see like a bunch of turntables just stacked on top of each other. And over here, and this is the classical, tons of stuff. And this is just the back room where all these records we haven't even looked at yet. Just tons of stuff, Nipper. Go on and on and on. And so that's kind of what we've been dealing with, since he passed away. First it was cleaning all the stuff out of the house so that we could clean it up and move in. And, so now our previous house is becoming what his house was, which is just loaded full of stuff. And so we just needed a living space. But at some point, paying 2 mortgages is going to kill us, like literally kill us, I think. And just got to get rid of stuff. So now this is basically what we have, is just a ton of stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
Wow.
That's what it's come down. That's what the store is basically. It's like, we need a place to put these records.
Kev.
That's
Go ahead,
the
Vinny.
thing that impressed me the most right off the get-go is just the square footage itself.
Yeah.
In that neighborhood, to have that big a record store, that's got to be a rarity. And I haven't been up there in a while.
Yeah.
That is a lot of square footage for that neighborhood to be selling records.
We're lucky. We're completely lucky. We have a cool landlord they've never raised the rent, like since, what would that be, 1995, they never raised the rent.
Oh,
I know.
wow.
And this is actually 2 storefronts. I'm standing kind of like right in the middle here. This right here was the original shop. It was just kind of this square footage here. And there's a door right next to it on this side. I can't really see it, but that was a different shop. And the landlord was like, hey, you know, you got way too much shit. Why don't you take both shops? And so that's what happened. And so now it's actually 2 different addresses. But so he just expanded and built the whole place and, you know, just kept piling stuff in. And, you know, weekend off, sure, let's go pile more stuff in. And that was about it. But luckily, the landlord's really cool. She's really been helping out a lot during the pandemic as far as like, you know, people are tagging outside because it's really central, right in the middle of San Francisco. So, you know, people are tagging like crazy and breaking windows and shit. And so I can't really get away from that. But yeah, she's just been really nice to us. And who knows, maybe it won't last. I don't know. But, you know, there was I mentioned there was a diner next door, a pancake place, and that had been here for like 50 years. And so they had legacy status, but unfortunately they went out of business. So one of the things is if you don't have legacy status, they can just kick you right out. Yeah. And so it was like they were, you know, we were like, they were Trojan horsing us into the legacy part. And now they're gone, so it's like we're kind of sitting ducks. So we could be gone tomorrow. We don't actually know. We just hope we can keep it going.
Yeah, so do we, Kevin.
Yes.
I really appreciate everything that you and Sonny are doing for the community out there and for record buyers and record enthusiasts and things like that.
Oh, thank you.
How many record, and my mind was churning that whole time. Just a guesstimate of, was it Ray?
Yeah.
How many personal records do you think he had in his collection?
Oh, man.
Give us a guesstimate so we can dream.
Well, when the pandemic hit, we Sonny and I were, it was only a few months ago, really. Sonny and I were like, okay, the riots were happening, right? And so we're thinking, what happens if somebody burns the shop down? You know, we're insured, but we don't know what we're insured for.
Yeah.
We can't say pay us off, and they're like, yeah, how much? You know, we have no idea. So we actually came in here one day, and to the best of our ability, we counted the records, like all the records that are in the shop. There's also, you can't really see it from here, but there's an upstairs here as well, and you know, full-on loft space, and this just packed full of records as well. So it's just a shitload of records. And we counted, just kind of like, okay, this bin holds 100, and there's 5 of those bins, so that equals, you know, 5,000 or whatever. And so we just counted like that, and we ended up with like 4,500. I'm sorry, no, 4,000. I can't count. 450,000 records. And that's just inside this building. There's also like 3 storage spaces, 2 basements at houses, and it's just a ton of records, man. It's an unbelievable amount. I guess that would legally be more than a ton of records, but yeah, there's a lot of records. A lot of crap, you know. There's a lot of like these sub journey bands you never even heard of, but you know, also really good stuff too. I mean, the full Sun Ra collection. Wow. You know, go on and on like that, and
wow,
I think some really rare stuff. See if I have anything really interesting here. Let's see. Oh, I love this guy. Lawrence Harvey, Manchurian Candidate himself. Gotta love that guy. I'm in the spoken word section right now. So I have Anthony Quayle reading Paradise Lost.
Wow.
Yeah, tons of stuff. Anyway, but yeah, I couldn't believe it. And we stopped giving a shit about counting after a while. And it was like, okay, well, now we got to count the 7 inches. Okay. And then the posters, and then, you know, the lunch boxes, and you can go on and on and on like that. The only thing we really don't have enough of is jazz. I think it's just because I stashed it all away. Like, hey, wait, Rear Ornette Coleman? That's mine. Sorry, guys. That's
exactly.
Mingus, got all the Mingus. Yeah, stuff like that. Oh, I love that record. I just listened to that the other day, as a matter of fact. I was at work. You know, that stuff is like the best for work, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like working on stuff, and you need something that occupies your brain, but it isn't a distraction. And I had to bring this one. I actually brought this for my own personal collection just to have it with us.
Yay, Dark Glow.
Nice.
1991 from Scheming Intelligentsia. This is one of the really rare ones on black vinyl. We did 1,000 on yellow vinyl and only 100 on black vinyl.
Scheming Intelligentsia, always thinking outside the box.
Oh yeah, because boxes are for suckers. Hold on a second. Right back. Oh, sorry.
Folks, you're hanging out with Vinny G, Greno, Kevin Chanel.
Thank you,
We
sir.
are at Grooves today in San Francisco on Sunday Spin Doubleheader.
Yes.
Ernie Banks said, let's play two, so we're going to do the same. And it's the last day of baseball regular season, so there we go. Did the Padres win, by the way?
You know, I left during the 7th inning.
Blasphemy.
The Giants had come back with you. Padres beat the Giants 5-4, ladies and
Good,
gentlemen.
so Giants didn't make the playoffs?
No, they didn't. They didn't make the playoffs.
Beautiful.
Here, Doug. Sweater.
I know Giants fans, you're going to hate me, but that's fine because you're sitting on 3 rings that I don't have.
I know, man. You know what makes me sadder than anything? San Diegans that move to San Francisco and become Giants fans.
Oh, I know.
I swear.
Hey, even our buddy Eric Shaggy Cullen went through a Giants phase,
Jesus Christ.
which it hurt me, but I had to let him do it.
Yeah, I was happy for. I don't hate the Giants. I was happy for the Giants when they were winning World Series.
Oh, yeah. It was a good
electric.
squad.
It was
How
fun,
can you-
and they weren't the Dodgers. Fuck, you
Hey,
know, great. Why not?
And Mad Bum, I mean, Lefty, come on. I mean,
Brian
one of
Wilson.
the best performances ever in the history of the World Series. You can't deny it.
For 3 World Series, some of
Guy
the
leading the
finest
troops,
performances.
right?
Was that?
You got a 6'4" guy leading the troops, man with the big head.
Yeah, I know. It's
Yeah.
Boch. That's a Hall of Fame guy for sure. Manager, Bruce Bochy.
A Hall of Fame record, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorite records ever made. I love this thing.
Very cool.
So awesome. It's
Hey,
the
Kev?
definitive event. Yeah.
You brought up so Kevin, you have a cool Instagram site and you always put up the albums that you're playing.
Ah.
And I noticed a couple weeks ago you had the band The Drags. I love The Drags.
Yeah.
From
They're good
Albuquerque, correct?
Yeah. CJ, Lorca, and Keith. They're the coolest people. Met them at one of those Las Vegas shindigs, the garage shindigs, Garage Shock. At one of those, and we became friends. And Sunny put him in her magazine when she had Girly Head. She put him in there, and they got along really well. And we hung out with them in Portland for a bit, and they're just like the nicest people. Then they just stopped. They just completely stopped playing music whatsoever. And it always bums me out when people do that. I know I've done that myself, so I know. But yeah,
Yeah.
Not me.
you know, don't stop, man. Never stop, because you're never older than somebody else who isn't stopping. You know what I mean?
Great advice. It's great
Yeah,
advice 'cause it's the truth, right? You go back and you go, gosh, look at all that span that I could have been doing something.
Man, I
You
know.
have to swallow.
Kicking myself. That's why any chance to do a lemon limes thing, I want to do it. It's like everything gets in the way, work and all that stuff, and this place, and it's like, Christ, man, I just want to play music. It's not hard to do. I just want to do it. So I can't wait to get out there again and spend more time, spend some good time there. You know, 3 days, 4 days.
Really? Sure.
Yeah, we'll play a show too.
That'd be cool. We need to do that for sure. Do a whole set, do a 20-minute set of one chord songs.
Heck yeah.
That'll be
We
cool.
should do the Lemon Mulligans.
We're talking.
Combine both bands.
That's the beautiful thing about the Mulligans is always, there's the nucleus and then there's the revolving kind of door that goes in and out, which has always been the concept. It's, who's the Mulligan this time with us?
Uh-huh.
And
Well, that was like Fern Trio. That was like my whole Fern Trio thing.
Yes.
It was like,
it's
just get the right people and
right.
throw it in the pit and see what happens.
I recall.
Or even who's available at the moment, and there's nothing wrong with
Well,
that.
that was the biggest thing, was who was available. That was how the Fern Trio started. Was I was in the Soul Brothers, and we'd lug around all this equipment, and if you don't have a monitor, then your show is just shot, because in a lot of places back then they didn't have monitors or good monitor systems. You couldn't hear anything.
Sure.
And so would say, what's your system like? And they'd say, it's 2 rats on a wheel that are powering a sound system. And so we'd just catch dudes from the other band, like, hey, can we use your drum set? You want to play bass? You want to sing? You want to blah, blah, blah. And sometimes it'd be great. Sometimes it was shit, but, tried. We gave it a shot. Yeah.
I could see a collaboration in the future. Absolutely. A Lemon Mulligans or a Skinny Limes, whatever you want to call it.
Times.
I know what I call it, and it's the term we always use, right? What is it? Big rock action.
Always. Speaking of, I got a great Big Rock Action Kevin Chanel story. This one's This one's a doozy, man.
Do you?
I love this story. And Kevin, just seeing you, I thought about it. It wasn't really in the front of the lobe here, frontal lobe, but check it out. So I'm heading to a show in San Francisco at the Fillmore. It's Mudhoney, Clawhammer, and I forget the name of the opening band because they'd never played. But what was it, Kevin?
The Zeros.
The Zeros. Thank you. Sorry, my bad.
Diego,
I don't know what. I mean, I'm old, but I'm very old. Well, and you know why I probably don't remember, because the Zeros ended up not playing, right?
Right.
And so waiting for.
Not really.
Right. So waiting for the opening band to come out, and I've seen Clawhammer before, which I love Clawhammer. One of the best live bands I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And Kevin, you introduced me to Bob Lee, so thank you for that. We hung out with Bob Lee at the bottom of the hill one day. He was super cool to me. One of my favorite drummers. But so out comes Kevin Chanel with Clawhammer, and I'm like, that's my boy. And that's Clawhammer. So Kevin, and this is at the illustrious Fillmore in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So Kevin, what the heck was that?
So yeah, this is a bit of a story actually, and this story actually leads to me, like my life now, like very much my life now.
Oh, okay. It was a good question then.
It's a hell of a question. So I had originally, and this is a long story, so you're getting some time on this one.
Good.
I originally moved here in '89. My brother Baba, who was in the Zeros, he was one of the original Zeros. That's my family, by the way. So my cousin Robert is Alves. He was in the Zeros. Javier, who was also in the Zeros, and Escovedo family, Dragons and Alejandro and all those.
Yes, shout out to all of them.
And Rank and File, which is a great band. But anyway, so I moved up here in '89 to join MCM and the Monster, which is like a total Beastie Boys, like metal rap kind of thing. And it was just like I was kind of bored with San Diego. I was doing Scheming Intelligentsia, and I didn't feel like it was really going anywhere. The Soul Brothers broke up. So I moved up here because my brother asked me to. It was like 2 weeks after the earthquake. So San Francisco was in rabble. You couldn't get a bus anywhere without it taking 4 hours. You couldn't drive anywhere. And so we basically just holed up and played together, me and my brother, for the first time ever. We'd never played together before. And so I only was here for about 6 months, but I made really good friends with Sunny. Her dad didn't have the record store at that time. She was only 20. I was 24 at the time. And we became really good friends. We just kind of went everywhere together and stuff like that. We're just, just pals. And so then I was like, okay, well, I'm moving to San Diego, going back to my life and all that stuff. And in '95, Baba gave me a call. My brother Baba from the Zeros, he gave me a call saying, we kicked the bass player out, and we're going on this tour with Mudhoney. And can you learn all our songs in one night and come with us?
Twist my arm.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, tell 11-year-old me, hey, you're going to join the Zeros. I'm like, ah. And so I went up to LA, I learned all the songs in one night, like an hour's worth of songs. And luckily, it's a band I grew up with, so I kind of knew the songs anyway. And so, yeah, I learned them all. We played in LA, played in San Diego at the Casbah with Clawhammer. And then the next day the tour started, and it was like LA, Portland, all the, up and down the coast, and Lollapalooza in Vancouver. And then across the bay or across the street to Vancouver Island to play in Victoria. And then, just a ton of shows, but it was Mudhoney and Clawhammer the whole way. It was really cool.
Yeah.
And so the first show was after LA, the first show was at the Fillmore. And the night before, one of the dudes in the Zeros the main guy, Javier from the Zeros, got so tremendously blasted with Mudhoney. Matt Lucan and Dan Peters just got him blitzed, like thoroughly. Like he walked back into his apartment and had to be carried. He's like a skinny dude, and he had to be carried back in. And so me and Baba, we drove up to San Francisco the next day, and we're waiting for the rest of our band. And they just, he doesn't show up. Robert couldn't make it. He had an Alves show somewhere. And so it was just going to be a 3-piece anyway. And so he couldn't make it. So I was like, well, fuck, what are we going to do? We got to get paid. We got to, we got to do the show, and people are expecting the Zeros. so we asked Chris and John Wall from Clawhammer, hey, you guys know any Zeros tunes? And they're like, yeah, we love the Zeros. And luckily they knew Beat Your Heart Out. So they knew that one song. And so, I don't know, we had kind of started getting along already. And I told them, well, okay, tell you what, we'll do Beat Your Heart Out, but we'll do it like 6 different ways. And so Baba, being a comedy dude, he wrote out Beat Your Heart Out 6 times on the set list. And then a line, for the encore, Beat Your Heart Out. So we had these, sitting around, and that was actually a problem. So we went up and we played Beat Your Heart Out, played the regular tune. Then I turned to him and said, like Slayer, or like, cattle decapitation, play it like that. And so we're like, gun, 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 gun. And we played it in like this scream metal kind of way, and then like a T-Rex kind of way. And I can't even remember, but it was, and you were there, and I remember Joel was there, and all the cool people were there. But I remember Joel shouted out Sugar Twin Reverb up on the stage. I was like, what? Like, how the hell somebody knows who I am? What the hell's that all about? So anyway, that was surprising.
Olive Patch was there that night. And I remember a story. This is just a little quick aside. Our guitar player, Eric, walked into, because Kevin hooked us up, of course, with backstage passes. And of course, I never went because I'm always too shy to talk to people. But our guitar player went into Mudhoney's dressing room. There was a huge bottle of something sitting in the middle of the room. He looked around and said, mind if I take a swig out of that? And everyone kind of looked at him like, yeah, I guess. Took a swig out of whatever it was and walked out. Eric Brittenham, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Guitar player of Patch.
Came up with one of my favorite guitar lines ever. I think it was Monopoly, one of those tunes. I can't remember which one it was, but he had this really cool guitar line.
That was, well, I think that was Satana, I think was what.
Satana?
Eric, what a unique guitar player though, man.
Yeah.
God.
Seriously.
And Adam Alcorn, one of the best musicians ever.
You guys were great.
Adam Alcorn is just like, I love those guys. And Joel Arquios.
Sure.
And what a wonderful guy.
Absolutely, man. Like the nicest guy you could ever want to meet. Okay, anyway, so back to the story. So we played that show. We played Beat Your Heart Out 6 times. It was a shambles, but we were having fun doing it. And that was a blast. So afterward, okay, hey, the show's going on. So Sonny, of course, knew my brother from back in the day. So she comes in with like her boyfriend at the time, and she sees Baba and says, hey, how you doing? Hey, Sonny, how you been? And so he says, hey, guess who's here? And she was like, Kevin's here. And she grabs the backstage pass off his chest, or the all access pass, slaps it on her chest and runs backstage. And there I am, like at the top of the stairs. She's at the bottom of the stairs. I'm like, Sonny. And so we hung out more, and I think we went to a Padres Giants game the next day, like with Baba and like 8 people all going to a Padre game or a Giants game at the Stick. And I moved up here like 6 months later, and we got married in '99, and we got this now.
Beautiful story.
So, all that.
Right,
so that's that story. But anyway, so yeah, the tour went on. We went and played July 4th with Mudhoney in Seattle, which was really, really super fun. That was huge, and that was the biggest party you ever saw, kind of thing. And fireworks at I think it was Steve Turner's house, Chris Novoselic or Steve Turner, one of those 2 guys' houses, but like right overlooking Lake Union, and so they had this big fireworks display, and just like one of those everybody was there. It was really cool. And then off to Lollapalooza and hanging out with Drew Barrymore.
What an experience. That's great. Thanks so much for sharing that with us,
Kevin.
By all means, So, dude, something's distracting me. I need that Peanut Butter Conspiracy record behind you.
Yeah.
Can you hold that for me?
Guys, I'm that too, brother. You got good taste.
It's yours. Got it. Putting it away. No one can have it. I'll get your address later.
Are you gonna? No, you got to give me. Oh, you're not selling that one this week. Let's see.
I take care of my friends. It is so important.
Hey, Kevin, I like that car in the parking lot. Can I have it?
You don't want that thing, Rich. Did you see the 2007 Highlander? Oh, yeah.
Hey, would you do me a personal favor? It's my favorite Kevin Schnell story. When I first got to know him, hanging out with mutual friends, playing cards, parties, whatever, could always crack me up doing his Paul Stanley impression. And
He's
I don't
got
know
to
if
do
you
Ted
know
Knight
that.
too, though. You got to do Ted Knight as well.
Yeah, you did that as well, right? We were talking to Rob about
Do a
that.
segue for us, Kev.
It's easy to grin when your ship comes in and you've got the stock market beat. But the man worthwhile is one who can smile when he's got the stock market. I'm sorry, I screwed it up. The man worthwhile is the one who can smile when his pants are too tight in the seat. Go ahead, Pookie. Go ahead. Okay. How many people over here like to get high? Okay, good enough for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, the illustrious Kevin Chanel. We're hanging out on Sunday Spin. We're just about to wrap up our doubleheader. Vinny G pitched both games. Vinny gave up only 2 hits in the first game, and he's pitching a no-no. So let's keep it quiet. No one look at him. No one, don't talk about it. Don't look at him on the bench. He's got 1 inning to go.
It's location.
Stay tuned.
Seriously.
Absolutely.
Drag arm. Yeah.
All about location.
But we are at Grooves in San Francisco, one of my favorite towns. And I loved going record shopping in San Francisco.
I like to just keep changing the setting.
I lived in the Bay Area for about 15 years, I think, 12 years. No, 15, something like that. I miss it. I miss.
When you left, man. I really was.
If I move back, will you hire me?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Absolutely. My niece is Baba's daughter. She's like 25 or 27 now. She's moving up here in a couple of weeks, and she's going to start working here. So it's kind of cool. I make sure the family's taken care of.
Oh, that's so cool, man. That's so great.
Yeah.
Kevin, we're so excited to have you on. And again, you did double duty too. So kudos to you, man. You showed up on Raw. That was fantastic, man.
I hadn't seen Rob in so long. It was great to see him,
I know it meant a lot to him as well.
Yeah.
And
I didn't want to step on his action or anything like that. I just wanted to say hi.
No, it's a family.
What the show's
Cool.
about.
It's a family affair.
It was just so cool. He'd done so many awesome things, like since like the whole Bonnewell thing and the Fuzztones thing, and
I know it's amazing.
What he's doing in Berlin is so cool. I just so much respect for that guy.
So, Kev, do you want to do any shout outs or anything before we head off into the sunset for the rest of the weekend?
The biggest thing, man, do whatever we can to get that asshole out of office. And I think you know what I'm talking about. It's so important to just not.
Jello Biafra?
Yeah, just God, get him out. My God, I'm so sick of that guy. The funny thing about voting is, when I was in the Dead Kennedy, we chose to run for mayor because we thought it was obscene that what he was doing to office.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Jello Biafra, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. All right.
Give him a flea bath, quick.
I haven't seen John Doe's book yet. Have you read the book yet?
No.
John Doe book? I got to check that out.
I just bought Lobotomy, which is Dee Dee's book, so I'm excited for that. I got that over at What's Left Records. I want to give a shout out to our wonderful sponsor, What's Left Records here in Colorado Springs. We want to be sponsored by each and every record store in each and every state, so please reach out to us. We have a Facebook page called Sunday Spin, and we are hanging out with the one, the only, the illustrious Kevin Chanel, sporting the San Diego Padres shirt, a team that's going to the playoffs for the first time in 14 years. And we're hanging out at Grooves. Vinny, are you salivating or what? Look at all these posters and records and gosh, don't you just want to hang out?
Really? How lucky?
2 important shout outs to the record buying public. 2 records you need to buy. 1, Natural Causes by Kelly Stoltz. Kelly's a Grooves alumni. He's been here for since forever. And I think this one's on Banana and Louie. I've never heard of Banana and Louie records. He has a couple records on Sub Pop as well. They're all great. Guy's super talented.
Okay.
As well as another Grooves employee, Brock Galland, ex of the band 100 Watt Halo. Also a Grooves guy. He's in a band now called Twin Dimensions. And you got to hear this record. It's really, really good. It's
awesome.
It came out last year. and the song is called Surrender. No, and it's just this great record, and we're all really proud of our guys for
Yeah.
stuff. Absolutely. Those are my shout outs. That's it.
Kevin Chanel, you're a beautiful man.
Oh, you're
We're
much
hanging out on Sunday Spin. This has been the doubleheader. My main man, Vinny G, holding it down for me. And Vinny, man, what a weekend. Vinny's done like 3 or 4 shows. He's in beast mode.
I'm tired, man. But I mean, think about how blessed I was with the people I got to share life with for the last 4 days. So I'm the lucky one. Make no mistake about it. Kevin, thank you so much for your time. You look great. God bless you, brother.
Thank you so much.
Kevin, what song should we end the show with? Which Lemon Lime song?
I'd go with High and Tight. Oh, no.
Got to be something from the second album. Sorry.
Buick Invitational.
Buick Invitational.
You got it. All right. Buick Invitational. Again, hanging out with Kevin Chanel at Groove. Sunday Spin. We'll be back next week with some awesome guests. And we just appreciate you guys so much. We love you. Check out the Groove's Discogs page. Also, they do have a Facebook page that you can follow. And then when they reopen, go get that party started over there with Kevin and Sonny. We love you guys. We'll see you next time. Buick International, the Lemon Limes on Anonymous Collective Records, folks.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
The wrap, baby.
Johnny Miller, Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, Trevino, whoa. Tommy Armour, Fuzzy Zelder, Corey Pavin, Tom Weiscott, Smiley Mako, Billy Casper,
Mako.
Gary